What's going on, everyone? Welcome to A Wild Podcast Has Appeared, the official Pokemon podcast of Comicbook.com. The band is back together. I am your host, Jim Viscardi. Megan Peters is back, and Christian Hoffer never left us.
He is always here.
Because he cares.
Overseeing us.
Always waiting, always watching.
Well, you had to take it there, didn't you?
A Wild Podcast Has Appeared debuts every Thursday and is full of all of the Pokemon knowledge that you could ever hope for. We break the show down in two ways. We hit a bunch of news in the first half, and then we do a deep dive in the second half. This week, we got a bunch of stuff. I mean, we have new Pokemon, there's a new Nintendo Switch, there's a bunch of crazy stuff happening in the Pokemon Go world, and Megan got to see the Pokemon movie.
I did. Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution.
So there is a bunch of stuff that we have to cover. As always, if you are a fan of this show, make sure you leave a review for us. We may read it. We may read it,
Yes.
or maybe two or three at the end of the show. And if we do, you get a free T-shirt.
Yes.
You guys ready to jump into this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, can we talk about we need to talk about the new Pokemon first, because one of them is super freaking creepy, and another one of them I really think is adorable, and the third is just super cool.
Yes.
I think you guys probably already know which one I think is super creepy, but can you
Roly-poly, of course.
No, that one's like I think he is adorable. Okay.
Yeah, no. Jim is a staunch advocate of roly-poly in this office.
As soon as I saw it, I told Megan, I was like, oh my gosh, that's my new favorite.
Well, this is also our Graveler stand.
Basically,
so,
yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
makes sense.
Christian, why don't you run through who the new Pokemon are?
Okay, so we got Roly-poly, of course, which is a new rock-type Pokemon. Kind of looks like a rolling piece of coal with an eyeball on front.
It's very cute.
The big thing with this one is that it has a new ability, which is called Steam Engine. And whenever it gets hit by a fire or a water type attack, its speed actually goes up.
My concern of it just being like a lump of coal right now, but having Steam Engine be its ability, is that it's going to evolve into a train of some sort, and then I'll be really sad. I want it to remain like
A piece of coal.
a piece of coal.
So, I mean,
Or turn into a diamond. Like its thing, like it turns into a diamond.
Like it gets pressure.
Right? It gets pressure.
We already have a diamond Pokemon.
Wow.
I know, but it doesn't start off from coal.
It does.
Does it? Who?
Yeah. The Diancie is the diamond Pokemon, and they think it's basically when Carbink, which is a coal-esque Pokemon, gets exposed to extreme pressure, it becomes Diancie. I mean, that's already been done, so I think we're going to get Artemis the Tank Engine Pokemon.
Oh no.
My son
That would be so
thrilled.
unfortunate.
I'm terrified.
Its wheels start to pop out from the side of it.
And just becomes like a literal just choo-choo train. If that Pokemon's final name is not just Choo-Choo, what is the point?
Oh God.
I'm
So
going to assume that Alcremie, though, is your creepy Pokemon.
Is the creepy one.
Dang.
What's so creepy about Alcremie?
Have you ever seen Food Wars? I'm just curious. Shogeki no Soma?
I mean, I've heard of it. It is a totally PG manga/anime about children who get into like Iron Chef type cook-offs, and there's no sexual connotations whatsoever. Did I get that correct, Megan?
I'll take it.
For those who really are just starting to learn about Christian, that was almost entirely sarcasm.
Yes, that was completely sarcasm. Basically, yeah, Alcremie, I'll let you take a Hoffer.
Well, Alcremie is the Food Wars Pokemon. It is a new fairy type Pokemon. It is a sentient puff of whipped cream. And it basically can secrete whipped cream that people use in their pastries. The weird thing about Alcremie is you read its Pokedex or its summary, and it's basically one giant double entendre. It's all about creaming things, throwing cream in people's eyes. It has a move called Finale. It shoots
Is this
cream
is this
missiles.
just
It gets
the
hard.
Pokemon Company just effing with us?
Yes.
Is that what's going
swear
on?
to God.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. They've probably seen Food Wars, Shogeki no Soma, and they were inspired. I jest, but I'm also serious.
Yeah, no. Someone had a lot of dirty giggles when they were making this Pokemon. I swear to God. Like there's no way this thing got through like the entire vetting process with at least like someone just cracking up. I mean, I told
But
my
also
wife
inevitably
about it.
someone has to be like, "Yep, print it."
Yep. And I guarantee you it was all the like older guys who were like, "Yep, nope, we're gonna do that." My favorite thing has just been the response from fans, just barring all the
Oh my
NSFW
gosh.
connotations.
Yes.
Like,
Be careful when googling Alcreme because
you're gonna
or on
get
Twitter or whatever. There's a lot of NSFWs.
there's already a lot of
Yeah.
uncomfortable things that you will see. But my favorite thing is like compared to like when we got the ice cream Pokemon whose name it just completely escapes me right now. Everyone was so angry about like when that was announced, and then all of a sudden Alcreme comes out and they're like, "This is our new overlord. We are only accepting of this Pokemon." And I'm like, what has happened culturally speaking, like to shift us to the point where we could not stand that idea, but now we look at this just literal ball of whipped cream and we're like, you know what? I accept you.
Well, I think it's because it looks a lot cuter. I mean, Vanillite and Vanillux, I believe, are the
Yeah.
two Pokemon.
Yes,
You know, 'cause
yes.
it's one ice cream cone and then two of them stuck together. You know, they're basically just floating ice cream cones with like these like doofy looking faces. And
How dare you?
you know, Alcremie.
This
looks
is
like
a
cute.
pile of whipped cream with strawberries.
Yeah, it's cute. You know, like I heard the description on Twitter. I personally am not calling it this, but I heard it described as thick with two C's.
Oh,
So
Why?
people are really into this just sentient whipped cream. And like I love like the fact like the descriptions like pastry chefs love having Alcremie as their, you know, Pokemon partner. It's just like, oh God, that's not sanitary at all. You know, it just like walks over cakes, like leaving trails of whipped cream behind, and people eat it. What the heck?
I just have so many questions, and they're all uncomfortable questions. So I'm gonna keep them to myself.
I can't wait until we see this Pokemon in the anime. Like, I kind of hope that Ash gets one.
Oh, it's definitely not going to be
boy.
Ash who gets one, but it's going to be like one of his friends or whatnot. And
Yeah.
oh God.
Yeah, it's just gonna be like a brief, like a one episode filler spinoff of them just being like, Alcremie's like creamy adventure. That's terrible. I don't want to talk about it.
Even when you're thinking about the anime, I still like we know that this region is supposed to be a take on like the Great Britain and whatnot. I still can't wait for the anime to show up to see if they give them like really awful British accents.
There's going to be an episode
so
like the Great British Bake Off, but like Alcremie is going to be the judge. If this isn't actually how this ties in, like it's going to be the Great British Bake Off featuring Alcremie.
That makes so much
Solved the issue literally for everyone.
sense. That is 100% what happened. They went over to Great Britain to get inspiration, and then they just ended up binge watching like 2 seasons.
So they said, "What is culturally relevant right now?" And it was
Yes.
just Great British Bake Off all the time. This
Yes.
obviously before Mary Berry left
Oh, no,
and the
that's
split
not-
happened.
Yeah. Clearly.
Oh, I'm upset now. I'm upset now. But hey, guys, we figured it out. So
There we
goals.
go. All right, let's go to the third Pokemon.
Duraludon, which is basically either it's supposed to be like kind of like the Mecha Godzilla to Tyranitar's Godzilla. Pretty obvious. It kind of looks like a lighter in Pokemon form. A lot of people were making that
Yes,
comparison.
it's-
It looks pretty cool.
Yes.
People think it could be the pseudo-legendary Pokemon of the Galar region.
Yes.
Okay.
Duraludon is my favorite, but I'm also
Yeah.
like the biggest Godzilla freak.
true.
So like,
Yeah.
I was like, as soon as we saw it, it was like the description was like, you can often see them in the mountains fight like Tyranitar and Duraludon fighting. I was like, yes, but also
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
surprised that like I can't remember exactly. I looked this up like what Tyranitar's like general weight is, but like Duraludon's only like 88 pounds, and I'm like, I'm not that strong, but like I feel like I could yeet a Duraludon if I tried really hard. But
Well, that's probably its baby form. It probably grows up to be this giant, like, crazy thing. Because Tyranitar is not that. Tyranitar is not that big, is he?
He's a hefty little fellow. I mean,
Yeah, he's not as tall as you would think he is, but he's like girthy.
Right.
He is, as the internet would say, thick with like 7 C's. He is very girthy and
actually, Tyranitar's 6'7".
What?
yeah. Yeah, I
That's
didn't think he was
crazy.
like honestly that tall.
Oh.
But
Yeah, and
like
he's-
but he weighs a lot from what I remember.
445 pounds.
Yeah, he weighs like
Holy moly.
Yeah, so like I was thinking of that and I was
thought
like,
Tyranitar was smaller.
yeah, no, I was just
Yeah,
like
no.
I only remember that because I always was like, oh, Larvitar is like really cute and adorable. But then when it evolves into Pupitar, it's like weirdly big. And I'm like, what
Pupitar
is
weighs,
happening?
Like, several hundred pounds because it was
Yeah.
like a running joke with like the anime when like there was somebody who was like picking up a Pupitar. It's like that weighs 300 pounds. Like a
Yeah.
10-year-old child would not be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like they just make that shit up. Like they pull up the Pokedex and they go, let's go with that.
Yeah, it's like,
And then the anime comes, like, because you'd have to imagine someone who's writing the anime is looking up its Pokedex thing, looking up its weight, and being
They
like,
are absolutely not looking up.
no,
But,
you're
like,
getting
what?
way too much.
How could you? The Pokedex is the official record-keeping tool of this entire universe.
See,
Yeah, have
you're
you read
assuming
the
the anime cares.
Yeah.
You want
One.
to think like even in the anime, the Pokedex would say, "Oh, this is a big one. He's heavy," and Ash would be like, "Oh, okay, I won't try and pick it up."
And then he does because Ash has superhuman strength.
Well, that's right, because Ash is eternal. Ash is secretly a legendary Pokemon.
Yes, that is the final Pokemon that will ever be announced. Whatever Pokemon 2698, Ash Ketchum. That's it. That's the final Pokemon. Called it here.
Oh man. But yes, Duraludon, that's a thing that exists.
Yes, I'm a fan immediately. That's my favorite of the 3.
Moving on, and we'll do this before we get to the new Switches. We need. So over the last couple of weeks, we have been talking about the various special moves and different things that this game, the Pokemon games have had, and that this game will have. Dynamaxing being the big one for Sword and Shield, and how there wasn't going to be Z moves or Mega Evolutions, but JK, because there is kind of Mega Evolutions in. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure out how to say this one, but Gigantamaxing. Gigantamaxing.
Gigantamaxing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pronounced how it looks. So this is a variation of Dynamaxing. One big difference is not every Pokemon species can Gigantamax. So they showed off Dreadnought, Alchemy, and Corviknight, all of whom have Gigantamax forms, and it transforms their shape as well as their size. So like Dreadnought goes from being like a four-legged like rock turtle Pokemon to basically Megan, what's the turtle kaiju? The big turtle kaiju that's super popular. over in Japan?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name.
Yeah. It basically turns into that. Corviknight gets like these basically looks like Corviknight, only has red wings. And we'll talk about Alchemy final form later. But in addition to being able to like turning into a totally different looking Pokemon, it also gains access to a specific move that's specific to that species. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's kind of like a combination of Mega Evolution, Z moves, and Dynamaxing. The other thing is that not every Pokemon of a Pokemon species that can Gigantamax can actually Gigantamax. Only certain specific Pokemon of that species can Gigantamax. So it's super rare.
I'll admit I like this better than the Dynamaxing, but it's only because I was such a fan of Mega Evolutions, and this still kind of gives me that feeling that I really wanted. And I wish I could see a little more of it, but I mean that's kind of the story for everything Sword and Shield right now. I just want to see a little more of it. So
there's like potential. There's like good news and sort of bad news, right? Where in the sense that does this mean that Alchemy and Corviknight do not have evolutions?
We don't actually. So that's kind of interesting because it ties into a rumor that we talked about on the podcast several weeks ago that Jim apparently was present at but never listened to because he keeps sending me a link to it.
Wow.
But there was a rumor which mentioned Gigantamaxing, and it talked about how Pikachu and Meowth and Lapras all will also have Gigantamax forms. Now, as we know, both Pikachu and Meowth are unevolved Pokemon. Well, Pikachu's, technically a middle evolution. But, those are Pokemon that haven't reached their final forms. And Pikachu has a Gigantamax form. So that's not a guarantee.
So maybe it's tied to a device? Like Z-bands?
Well, we know
Z-bands?
Dynamax, they have Dynamax bands. And I think this is just like a variation of that, where just certain Pokemon, instead of Dynamaxing traditionally, they Gigantamax instead.
Could you imagine if like Ash's Pikachu showed up and then saw another Pikachu Gigantamax and be like, "Whoa, I can do that? I could have done that this whole time?"
Yes, Pikachu would probably have like a short identity crisis.
Like that's what. Like, how do you reconcile that one?
The big rumor about Gigantamax Pikachu is that it turns back into its chubby original fat Pikachu form.
Oh
My
God.
gosh.
Yeah.
Because they had like in the old anime, like Team Rocket, they would
I
like make
can see
those
that
big
immediately.
Pokemon like mecha suits. That's basically like what Pikachu would be.
Can you? Oh my God, that's totally going to be how Ash first uses Dynamax. Is they're going to come after him with a mecha, and then Ash is going to be like, "Oh yeah, screw you," and then like Pikachu steps on this mecha, destroys it.
Yeah.
Team Rocket's dead. We move on.
Wow, that just got real dark.
Why didn't they kill Team Rocket? Just let them blast off again.
I'm sorry, guys. I have no idea.
They're
what's going
absolutely just going to blast off again. Team Rocket. We've not seen the last of Team Rocket. But yeah, I don't know. The Gigantamax thing, I don't know. Also, I just felt like it was such like an underwhelming like reveal. I mean, obviously, now that we know Dynamaxing is kind of like, oh, whatever. But
Well, because they first showed it with like Alcremie and, Corviknight looked okay. Like
Corviknight.
I love Corviknight, but Corviknight just looked okay.
yeah, he just looked edgier than usual.
Yeah.
He went to Hot
Yeah.
Topping and got some like red
Like,
hair
oh
dye.
man. Like I need some like red eyeliner to go on my black. But yeah, no, the moves are their special Gmax moves are pretty cool too. Like Dreadnaught's move, not only damages the opponents, but it also throws like the stone spikes on the field. So any Pokemon that enters the field gets hurt. Corviknight has the exact opposite effect, where if its move sweeps away anything that could be affecting the field of battle. So basically resets the field and can clear away those nasty SAS conditions. So they should be pretty relevant to the metagame too, which excites me.
Yeah, the only thing I care about though is all Creamy's 4, which I know you said you were going to talk about later. So it is just A+.
It is something, but we need to save that till later.
Yes, this is us telling you to keep listening.
All right. In news that literally just broke this morning,
Yep.
Nintendo is putting out new Switch Lites, and 3 different colors plus a special Pokemon edition.
Yes.
Yep, that one will have the mascot legendaries on it. It's only $200, I believe.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's super affordable.
Yeah.
I really think they push these out. We've been talking for the last few weeks about how Nintendo's kind of got Game Freak on a timeline. They wanted this Pokemon game to come out by holiday 2019. I mean, we don't know that for certain, but that seems pretty likely. And now we can kind of see why, because they want to bundle Pokemon with this new Nintendo Switch Lite. Because, if you don't want to pay $400 for a Nintendo Switch, now you have a $200 option that you can use to play Pokemon on. That's pretty freaking fantastic.
So I didn't get to fully look at the release, but does this sit? I imagine this also sits on a dock.
It does not.
It does not. It is basically
It is
just
pure handheld. So they have just killed the 3DS.
Yeah, it doesn't have like removable Joy-Cons or anything. It's basically just purely handheld, like the Wii U pad, but like it works this time. It's just strictly, and it doesn't have motion controls or anything.
Okay.
So like some games that are specifically motion controlled centric for the Wii. I mean, not for the Wii. Get that out of my head. I've been playing Skyward Sword. That's why. For the Switch, you will either have to get an additional Joy-Con that has motion controls for the console, or you can't play it on just the Lite version.
Oh, so you can pair additional Joy-Cons to this
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
Yes, you can pair additional Joy-Cons that would have motion controls for those games. But yeah, no, it's strictly just the tablet. So
Yeah.
The Pokemon one looks pretty cool.
yeah, it has
Yeah.
Zacian and the mascots for Sword and Shield.
Zamazenta.
Yes. I gotta
Yeah,
admit, I was a
well-
little disappointed in how it looked.
What?
The
actual design of it?
Pokemon.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a blue and pink or like something. I don't know. The color scheme I was not necessarily a fan of, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of some of the older, like special 3DSs, which I think it's deliberately supposed to. I mean, my 3DS is a Zelda one.
yeah.
So, like I think that some people will buy it. I mean, that bundle, the inevitable Pokemon or Nintendo Switch Lite Pokemon Sword and Shield bundle will just be it's gonna sell like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the bundles that'll come out the holidays for
Yeah,
kids.
oh man.
And they'll probably, I wouldn't be surprised if later in the year, even right before Christmas, if they do another push for Let's Go, do a, themed ones there as well.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
I mean, in the same way that Diamond and Pearl, all those original like mobile specific games, they benefited greatly from these kind of package deals. And
Yeah.
so, it makes sense, the timeline to have this bundle out, and it makes it way more accessible and affordable for people who just want to play Pokemon.
So RIP 3DS.
Yeah, it's been coming for a while. I will just never let mine die because of my Harvest Moon files. I can't. They're too important to me at this point. I've sunk too much time. But yeah, that's probably a more interesting console conversation of what this will do. But in terms of Pokemon, it's a win-win, I think, really.
sure.
So great for them. I'm just waiting for when they release like the Nintendo Switch Lite that looks like a Pokedex on the back. That's what would have gotten me super excited. Come
I
on.
would have bought that in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, I'd pre-order it immediately. So that's what I'm waiting. Give me that nostalgia.
My favorite description of this was a PSP Vita that everyone wants.
Wow. Ooh.
All right. On that note, let's keep moving on because we got a bunch of more stuff to cover. A $60,000 Pokemon card
Yeah.
just got lost in the mail.
Rip.
This is a heartbreaking story. So there is it's a Mewtwo card. There's only, I think, I'm trying to think how many were made here. I'm looking it up. There's estimated that so the Mewtwo card was originally awarded to the winner of the 1999 Secret Super Battle tournaments in Japan. So only 9 to 18 of these cards were made. So this is legitimate. You know how you see those really terrible articles about here are the rarest Pokemon cards in existence and stuff like Charizard. You can get a Charizard on eBay. You cannot get one of these cards at all. So it got sold recently and it went missing. And so a $1,000 reward is being offered for its safe return, but it got lost in the mail, and that is awful.
First of all, I feel like the 1,000
That's a garbage reward.
to the actual first I was thinking, did you have insurance on it? I feel like if I had sunk in $60,000 to buy a Pokemon card, I would have then paid the additional money for a flight to pick up that card in person with a briefcase and some wrist cuffs to make sure that sucker does not get lost.
You bring up a good point.
In no
You're
way,
gonna spend
shape, or form.
$60,000 on a card. You might as well just go pick it up.
In no way, shape, or form would I have put that thing in the mail. It's not going to happen. Not at all.
And so the thing is that they actually believe this might be a legitimate theft because both the buyer and the seller are known people in the Pokemon community. They're both big collectors. So they think that someone may have just legitimately stolen it. It didn't get lost in the mail. Someone may have stolen it.
Or it could be insurance fraud.
Yeah, this is just, that's a ridiculous amount of money. And if it is an actual theft, again,
Pokemon true crime.
yeah, honestly, where's Detective Pikachu?
He's
solve
on the
this
floor,
case.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just all I know is if I had been in that, I mean, I would have had people like if it had been stolen from like, man, like I don't even know like how it could have happened. Did somebody like get a job with the like postal service just to steal this? Like, did Nick Cage orchestrate this? Like, I have so many questions.
Maybe that recent power outage at the National Archives was all just a giant misdirect so that they could steal this Pokemon card.
Like,
I mean,
and the crazy
dang.
thing is, like, and I get, I watched enough White Collar to know that, like, if you steal something like this, it's easy to resell it and get your money and whatnot, and then to an eclectic collector who's just going to lock it up,
Yeah,
forever
but
to look at. But
when the thing is with this card is that because it's so rare and because
Yeah.
it has a unique holofoil pattern to it, like this guy who, if it was stolen, they will never be able to like resell it legally. Like this will have to this card will forever go on the Pokemon black market.
Yeah.
If that's the intent here. Because like it's legitimately a one of a kind card.
yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
there's so few.
that's what I mean. Like this is just like wherever this card ends up is just going to be hung up on a wall somewhere just to be looked at, because that's how all the White Collar things end.
Yeah, it's just going to be like a personal victory of them knowing they either stole it. But if we just ignore the fact that this might have been stolen, could you imagine just being this person who like accidentally got this card, not knowing its value?
Oh, right. If
And
it just
like
showed up in the mail
opening
to,
the
like, a
mail
neighbor or something?
Yeah, they just like opened the mail and they were like, "Who sent me a Pokemon card?"
And then they probably threw it out.
yeah, they threw it out or they gave it to their kids, or maybe it's like someone like a casual collector who's like, "Oh, this is cool," and they're just keeping it, not knowing that they have this immensely rare Pokemon card.
But here's the thing. Let's say you look it up online, right? What do you do?
Oh yeah.
Do you keep it?
Well, you take the $1,000 reward.
Yeah, I mean, I would I would
it-
look at it and I would touch it lovingly and take a picture of it with me, and then I would be like, "All right,
Y'all are way too nice.
I know."
Well, I mean, by
it's my
law,
constant problem in life.
yeah. I mean, by law, I mean the guy. If anyone ever finds out that he has it, the buyer can legally claim it. Doesn't matter whether or not the guy knew,
Right.
Yeah.
it was lost or not. So I would take the $1,000. It's free $1,000, all because the mail showed
I would
up
hold
for
it
me.
hostage and ask for more money.
See, that's what we call blackmail in this country, Jim. That's what we call blackmail. Yeah, I would take the money, and hopefully the word of my niceties would get around with the Pokemon community, and people would send me plushes of Vaporeon. That's all I request, really.
Moving on. But there's a bunch of Pokemon Go news.
So much.
Like a bunch. And the first big one, everyone is complaining about the timing of the armored Mewtwo announcement, because like, why would the Pokemon Company or Niantic announce something on July 4th, not realizing that Anime Expo was going on, and
Yeah,
it was
but it
basically
was-
announced there.
Yeah. It was
I mean,
hilarious.
I complained about it because I was
Yes.
at Fireworks, and I said this
Yes.
was going to happen. For the record, I
Yes, you did.
said this was going to happen.
Yes.
I straight up called it on last week's podcast. I said that they were going to go and announce something, and that would happen during my cookout, and it was even worse. It happened during the fireworks. I couldn't
Yep.
get to a computer.
Yes. I was at Anime Expo when it was literally announced, when they were showing the trailer. I'm furiously texting Hoffer, adding him, respond to me, Hoffer, respond. I had someone else on my team write the article, and then I get this
Yeah.
lonely message from Hoffer saying,
I was
not during my fireworks. And
Yeah,
I
it
was like,
cool.
oh.
I mean, I was so ticked off, guys. Like, I was at the fireworks, and I'm just like cursing up a storm. Like my dad's there, and a couple of my friends are with me, and I was like, stupid freaking Pokemon company, stupid freaking Niantic.
I will just,
give me it to pre-write.
oh my gosh. I will just say this, literally as soon as that was announced, we were in one of the main event hall for Anime Expo. There were a couple thousand people in there. Literally everyone got their phone. It was,
like, is it here? Can I have it now?
Yeah, at that point they hadn't announced when exactly it was going to happen, or if it was going to be an event pre-screen, like you could catch it early. And literally, I mean, I did. Everyone, we got out our phones and were like, where is it?
So, Christian, when can we get armored Mewtwo?
By the time it'll be later today, Wednesday. So by the time you listen to this podcast, you'll be able to get armored Mewtwo.
And if you haven't gotten one already,
yeah.
there's something wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have until July 31st, so you got a pretty long amount of time. Hypothetically, this will be just like the normal Mewtwo raid, so this really is the most elaborate costume Pokemon that we've seen in Pokemon Go. Like, usually it's like Pikachu with a party hat.
Right.
This time it's Mewtwo with death armor.
Yes. And it should be his new armor that's from the Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, not the original armor from the 1999 film. This armor is way crazier than anything the original movie came out with. Like, Slipknot looks like it should be wearing this armor.
Yeah,
so.
it's the difference between like watching the original Gundam and like watching like one of the Gundams nowadays. It's just like totally different.
This thing is intense armor.
It's got claws, and it's like I don't know what the purpose. So the original armor was basically to dampen Mewtwo's powers. But this thing looks like it's to give Mewtwo like extra weapons with which to kill things.
No, it makes sense when you see the movie, which I'll explain later in this podcast. That armor has a very actual function. Yes, that armor has like some very legitimate function in the film. So
nice. But there's also a bunch of new stuff coming to Go. I mean, a bunch of it looks like, some changes are being made to certain Pokemon, and
so I believe it's 15 Pokemon got new moves, some of which really adds to the relevancy both in like PvP combat and in raid battles. So some of the big ones are Moltres got a new flying type fast move, which makes it like the ultimate counter against Machamp. Aerodactyl is basically a much more relevant rock type attacker thanks to the addition of Rock Throw. And also they added a new fast type fairy move, which they didn't have a fast type fairy move in Pokemon Go before. So basically all the fairy type Pokemon were useless. I mean, you couldn't use them. You really couldn't use them in anything. And now they're not like, they're not going to like tear up the charts. Like, this doesn't like change the game forever, and every other Pokemon will bow down to fairy type supremacy. But now you can use fairy types. It's nice if you like Gardevoir or Togekiss or other fairy Pokemon.
Both of them.
Yes. Also, another thing that they're going to do is they're changing apparently how PvP battles are going to play out. We think, we're not 100% sure because they haven't told us about it, like exactly. But we think that they're going to start incorporating some swiping type moves, kind of like what happens in Harry Potter Wizards Unite. With like 6 of you who have played that game, when you use spells,
you're bringing the wrong stuff over, Niantic.
Yeah. But yeah, when you use spells, you like use your finger and like draw a symbol on it, and so they think that they're going to do something like that in PvP combat. We'll see.
That
could be interesting.
That's interesting. I will wait to judge it until I can do it.
I can't tell if you were sparing my feelings by not mentioning on air that Aerodactyl is now a better rock Pokemon than Golem is, but
well, I mean, I know how much you care about your round rock Pokemon, like Roly and Golem, and they're, I'm just sorry that another one has fallen into instant relevancy.
But Megan's a big Aerodactyl fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm appreciative. I always loved it because it was just like, I don't know, it just looked like a dinosaur to me when I was a little kid, and I was like, dinosaurs, yes. And so I always have a little place in my heart.
And then lastly, before we get to our deep dive, it's an Entei.
Hey, we all agree on that one.
Agree on that one.
Hey.
Weekend.
Yeah. So there was the Pokemon Global Challenge last weekend. We crushed it as we usually did. So we're getting a bunch of bonuses.
Good job, everybody.
Yes. Thank you. I take sole responsibility. I did all 15 million or however many challenges we needed to do. But anyways, they're doing another raid day. It'll be 4 to 7 p.m. local time. Shiny Entei will be available. So yeah, go and do it if you need something to do on Saturday.
This is Seasick Entei, right?
Yeah, he's not green. He's like brown. He looks like,
looks
he's
like
just a browner Entei.
Yeah, it just looks sad. I have like 7 or 8 Enteis at this point, so like I'm Entei'd out. I don't need any more Enteis in TBH, so but I'll probably still wind up doing it on Saturday.
Low key bragging for.
Well, actually, wait, you said Saturday?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
my
it's a Saturday.
birthday, so I guess maybe
Oh, well, there you go.
Get a shiny and get yourself an armored Mewtwo.
Entei just for Megan's birthday. So if
Guys.
you like Megan and you want to support her on her birthday,
Yes.
go out and catch as many Enteis as you can and
Please.
use Vaporeon when you do it.
Please, please, please.
Or just send her pictures of Entei.
Yes.
Just
Or
Getting-
Vaporeon, or both. I will
By
honestly
Vaporeon.
cry. I'd be so excited. But yeah, no, that's probably what I'm going to do Saturday now.
excellent.
Go have some cake and catch an Entei.
All right, when we get back, Megan went to Anime Expo. She got to see the Pokemon movie. We're going to talk about it and more. Megan,
Yes.
how was the Pokemon movie?
Okay, so I'll preface this by saying I was not expecting much because I was like, this 3D CG looks really weird in the trailers if you've seen it. But actually, Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution like made me feel some feels. I'd give it like a solid like 3 out of 5. I mean, it's not completely amazing. It's for those of you who aren't aware, this is I think it's the 21st or 22nd Pokemon film. Comes out July 12th in Japan, but it was brought to Anime Expo early. It is basically a direct remake of the 1999 film Mewtwo Strikes Back, which introduced Mewtwo, but it's done entirely in 3D like CGI animation.
So when you say basically the same movie.
Yeah, so it cuts some things and it adds some things in terms of like all the same Pokemon are there, the original kind of people you'd expect. There's some additional move sets that are seen that the Pokemon are given from like Generation 4, which was kind of surprising. Earlier on in the film, some of the Pokemon are whipping out moves that I was like, that shouldn't exist yet. And it adds some
All of a sudden,
information.
Pikachu, Gigantamax. Everyone's like, whoa, what's going on?
It's like,
here?
well, how is that happening? No, but it introduced some more information about Mewtwo's origin that was like originally cut out of the first film. Not the kind of creepy backstory that was cut about how they decided to make Mewtwo to, because one of the scientists' kid had died. But it kind of gave some more. Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. Because there may be somebody who don't know that. We may need to back up a bit and go through Mewtwo's sort of original origin from the movie.
Yeah. So if you didn't know, like in the original film, it was pretty basic. They decided, or at least Team Rocket, Giovanni scientists, found some DNA of Mew. They decided to make Mewtwo the strongest Pokemon alive and enhance what Mew had already done to make Mewtwo. And Mewtwo was not having it because he had a major identity crisis and decided to get revenge on all of humanity. In the original film, a scene was cut featuring the scientists working on Mewtwo before he was hatched or born, however you want to say it. And the scientist was alluding to the fact that they were hoping that this cloning technology could be useful to humans because his daughter or child had died. And they wanted to like clone their kid so they could have their child back. So
I forget if it was in if I remember there was an entire, I think it was a cut sequence where like the reason why Mewtwo hates humans is because he felt this clone, like there was a clone version of this little girl, like in the tube next to him, and it died, and like they were friends, and then like he was like, screw humans, they're somehow responsible for this because he was like toddler Mewtwo at the time. It's really creepy and sad, as like so many things in the Pokemon franchise.
yes, so that does not happen in this CG film. You get more of an understanding between Giovanni and Mewtwo and the Team Rocket group of why he hates humanity so much. That's expanded a little bit more, so it gives you a little bit more sense, but that does make the movie a little slow to pick up. But once the actual film gets started, it was, I'll admit, for like the first 10 or 15 minutes, I was like, this is so weird, because they were like all 3D, like animated
So really
characters.
just trying to take in the animation of it all is jarring.
Yeah, trying to take in the animation of it all, especially because it kind of felt a little hollow, because obviously so much time was spent doing 3D animation. There's not as much.
Eyes.
Yeah, there's not so much as like background, like, noise happening with, additional characters and Pokemon running around. But once you kind of start moving into the film where all of the trainers are trying to get to Mewtwo's, invitational Pokemon event where he wants to meet the world's best trainers, it starts getting kind of cool. I will say, Vaporeon is in it. Oh my gosh, guys, I was like, it was like dying. It's so cute. But I'll say, like, the 3D animation really suits it. The only thing I could think of, I was just like, I want this quality animation in a game because, like, it was so cute. And I know, obviously, it's not possible right now at this point just because the amount of energy it takes to do that animation. But they looked really good. The Pokemon were very lifelike. The Pokemon came off looking best in everything, because they're already kind of cartoony. You would expect the humans to kind of look a little bit more realistic, but they still didn't quite get there.
They kind of look, from the trailers, they kind of look like action figures.
Yeah, it very much feels like an action figure, like film. Like, not quite, like, it's like they were going for something like Kung Fu Panda, but like they didn't quite get there, so it looks more like a Trolls or something. Which is fine. It was just so jarring to me to see, this 1999 film that was so nostalgic that I loved and saw in theaters again and again as like this updated version. So again, it's the conversation against 2D versus 3D animation.
Is it dark?
Yes. It very much tries to lean into more of the darker tone of the film. I will say this, the Pikachu scene, like the infamous Pikachu scene of the sad one at the end where they're slapping each other, is extended very much longer. And I just was like, stop abusing him. Leave Pikachu alone. And there's some things, like I was saying with the armor earlier, it's much darker in the way that armor controls Mewtwo, which also adds into the fact why he gets so mad at humanity. Because those like weird claw things that you see are used to like wrap him up like a straitjacket. Like he's like it gets dark, like in the way like Mewtwo is basically like, you have enslaved all of these Pokemon. So it's kind of that darker tone, not like rated R by any means, but it's interesting. I'd give it a solid 3 out of 5. I think it'd be great for like new fans or like younger fans who like that kind of tone and are used to seeing it in media and in film these days, who might look at 2D animation because they didn't grow up with it. And they're just like, oh, that's boring. If you show them this one, they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So they did pretty well.
So Megan, I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
How does Ash Petrified look in 3D? Better?
Okay. I actually got really kind of upset with that part because in the original film, he kind of actually looks like stone. There's like little cracks and like texture.
Yeah.
In this film, when he gets petrified, he like glows white for like a solid 30 seconds. And it felt very more like just so supernatural. When he became stone, it was so smooth and polished. It almost looked more like glass. So it didn't feel as like dark and realistic in my opinion. And then all the Pokemon begin crying and you're just like, I can't take this anymore. It's still, I feel like it was a very impactful scene, but there was something about the distance in which all the Pokemon were animated and how it kind of, it looked almost too flashy. Like it felt like the original film made it more gritty.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that was kind of a letdown for me, but the actual Pokemon like fights with one another that the clones have with their originals, that one was great. So
I just realized that with the release of this movie, it means 2 out of the last 3 Pokemon movies have featured Ash dying.
Yes. Yep.
That's what sells tickets, Christian.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah, Ash is having a rough time. I will say, of all my humans in this film, Brock and Team Rocket come off the best.
Yeah.
They are so campy. I was cracking up. Like,
Do they have the original voice actors?
Yes. Well, except for, so Professor Oak doesn't show up in the film, which is a little different because the original voice actor for Professor Oak passed away in Japan. But all the original, Ash, Misty, Brock, Team Rocket, they're all still there.
Oh, right, because you saw it subbed.
Yeah, so I saw the Japanese voices. The dub hasn't been officially announced yet, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Team Rocket, there's a hilarious musical number with them. Like, I was like dying. That was like so out of the blue, and it was really funny. And Brock, when he's fawning over Nurse Joy, is just amped up to the nth degree.
Do they give him heart eyes?
Like, not heart eyes, but like he does this, like his facial expression like completely changes. I don't even know how to explain it, but it is absolutely hilarious.
Nice.
So they came off the best of all of the human characters. All the Pokemon, I don't think I really took issue with any of them. When I first saw Onyx, I was a little disappointed. But like
Was it
Arcanine,
too smooth?
yeah, he was a little too smooth, but Arcanine, Gyarados, like all the Pokemon I feel like look really great, and those 3D renders look awesome. Yeah, so I definitely recommend seeing it. But yeah, it doesn't fundamentally alter, the original film. It's a pretty 1-to-1 remake, except for the additional stuff about Mewtwo. So
Nice.
yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we're starting to run out of time, so we're going to get to the fan favorite segment of the show.
Yes.
Christian's Pokemon Fact of the Week. If you're new to the show, every week, right before we say goodbye, Christian has been giving us Pokemon facts. Some of them have been straight up gross. Some of them have been super depressing. Some of them have been a ton of fun.
Yes.
And so we really just roll the dice by letting Christian pick the Pokemon Fact of the Week. Megan and I have no idea what's coming.
Nope,
We don't know what it is.
Nope.
And here we are today. So, Christian, what do we got?
Hey, this is a pretty easy one. Who is the biggest Pokemon of all time?
Oh, I know this one because it's what we've been sort of teasing to. It's Alcremie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We
Alcremie.
foreshadowed this pretty. Yeah. It's our favorite wedding cake.
But yeah,
Alcremie.
that's the thing. So, like, the why is because she turns into a effing wedding cake.
Yeah. Yeah. So before this week, the biggest Pokemon was Wailord, who it's 440
Wait,
pounds.
she's bigger than Wailord?
Twice as big as Wailord.
Holy.
So then they came out with, this Gigantamax Alcremie, which is literally a 100-foot tall wedding cake. It just like towers over the field, like not moving. It's got like rock hard berries. It shoots cream missiles.
God.
It is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. But it's a 100-foot tall wedding cake. It's insane.
I
Yeah.
have questions.
But like, how does that even? So like, you can't bring an Alcremie into a stadium to fight, or if you are, you can't Gigantamax her.
You bring it in its little, whipped cream form where it's only like a foot tall, and then you Gigantamax the sucker, and suddenly the thing is like bigger than Big Ben. I actually don't know how tall Big Ben is.
Alert. Okay, so
It's
several things. One, this confirms our Great British Bake Off theory.
Yep.
Yeah.
Confirmed. Second, how many calories are in this evolution? Third, if you just like brought this thing to like a giant tournament and it just went crazy, I mean, like,
Is it edible cake?
like, I know you said there's rock hard
because
berries, but like,
Yeah, it's got berries as hard as diamonds, and the missiles it shoots. Anyone who gets hit by that cream is filled with euphoria and also confusion. Like, I swear to God, like this, I was like just reading this to my wife, like the description of this, and it was so wrong in so many ways. Its G-Max move is called Finale. I mean,
Oh, jeez.
I don't. I you know what? I'm gonna let this one slide.
Look, they take their cakes very seriously in Great Britain, and so
and that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
But I need like a caloric breakdown. How many?
you're not eating.
You know what? Someone out there is going to be desperate enough to try one.
I mean,
day.
when Alakazam Mega evolves and like picks up its like 6 additional spoons, that is a battle for the ages. Alcremie, Gigantamax versus a very hungry Mega evolved Alakazam. Who wins?
Yeah. Like, honestly, I have concerns, but you know what? We're not getting into that dark of a Pokemon discussion today. I'm
Why
going to leave
not?
it there.
We do it every week.
I know. We're gonna tease this one. Future episode, we'll break down how many bites would it take to eat the Gigantamax Alcremie.
Feed. How many people can a Gigantamax Alcremie feed? Would you eat this Pokemon?
Yeah, like
If it could feed a country, would you be okay eating it?
Yeah, like I already have concerns and questions, and you know what? I'm just
Man,
gonna
the
let
ethical-
I'm gonna let all of you think about it, reminisce on it,
Yeah.
decide where you stand
Let
on
us
it.
know. Find us on Twitter and tell us if you would eat alchemy, or if you would be okay with someone eating your alchemy if it could like feed a country for a year.
Oof, get into the tough questions now.
The ethical conundrums of the PokeFact of the week.
With that,
Yeah.
we got to get to fan reviews
Yeah.
of our show because we did not do them last week. But there are a bunch that have come in that I am that I want to read. I'm not going to read them all because we'll have to come back because there's a bunch of them. But two of them I have to specifically call out. So in case you don't know, we love getting your reviews. They make us feel very happy. And if we read them on the air, we will send you a shirt. Caveat is you have to get in touch with us so we can get your address and send it out. But free t-shirt in it for you. So iTunes is where you would need to do it because those are really the only place where they aggregate them and it's easy for us to sort of get to. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into our light. I'll probably read three. The first one is from Bulbasaur Forever. Not Christian Hoffer. I have confirmed this. Christian did not leave. This is not Christian's review in an attempt to try and get a free t-shirt from us.
I have doubts.
Because I still don't have Comicbook.com t-shirt. I've been working with you
get one.
guys for 5 years, for 4 years.
But now you're starting to get needy.
Oof.
Bulbasaur Forever writes this. I love, in all caps, this podcast, which is saying a lot as I used to hate them. I'm hoping he just means podcasts and
In general.
and not us.
Yeah.
But still, let me preemptively apologize.
Yep. 5 stars, so I'm assuming he just means podcasts in general. The hosts talk about such a wide variety of things in one episode, and it just continues to expand my knowledge of the Pokemon world. I now have binge-watched Sun and Moon anime and have made an Oddisaur Pokefusion, all thanks to this fun-filled and informative podcast. So thank you, Bulbasaur Forever. I appreciate that one. The next one is from Blauwow. It says, great discussions, interesting information, and insightful views surrounding the world of Pokemon. It's as if Professor Oak produces the podcast himself. Side note, as a Columbus native, here's to hoping I'll have a TCG trainers battle with Hoffer.
Oh, God. He would win. I am not very good at that game. I love the card. I am terrible at the game.
And this one, I'm assuming is also not Christian Hoffer because it was just left earlier this week on Monday from J. Gager88. Really glad to hear the Pokemon news. It's nice that you guys take the time to review all the current going-ons in the Pokemon world. Bulbasaur will always be the best Pokemon. Sorry, Vaporeon will never be as cool. I listen to this every week, and it helps get me through my workday on Thursday. You guys, keep them coming, you guys. You have a fan for life. Thanks for all the hard work you put into this podcast. Sincerely, Jonathan.
Hey, Jonathan.
So at least Vaporeon got mentioned. So far in all of these reviews, none of my favorite Pokemon have been mentioned. That's okay.
That's because you don't have like the pro Bulbasaur or pro Vaporeon. You know, like we basically exist as propaganda
Yes.
for Bulbasaur and Vaporeon.
Yes.
Like, you know,
Gengar is very popular.
he's okay.
Wow.
I mean, he's fine. I mean, he's no Bulbasaur.
You just got to become a walking billboard for
That's it.
Gengar.
I'm just gonna-
Every podcast. slip
Every
on it.
day I'm just going to I'm just going to send out a Gengar GIF or something. And
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Yeah,
But
that-
Golem,
yeah.
like what? Come on, Golem's great.
Yeah, but I would like to officially challenge Jonathan to a Pokemon battle. My Vaporeon versus your Bulbasaur. Hit me up.
Well, thank you guys. So, like I said, if we read your review on air, find a way to get in touch with us. I'm on Twitter at Jim Biscardi. Megan.
I'm on Twitter at Megan Peters CV.
Christian.
And I am at Seahoffer Seabus.
So get in touch with us there. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button. Smash it. Tell people you know. Tell other Pokemon fans. If you're in a Pokemon Go group on Facebook, those are very big these days.
Yeah.
Let them know about the podcast. Those are we've been getting a lot of fans in from there. So if you're in one, drop a link in there. Do us a little bit of a favor. We would very much appreciate that. Otherwise, you can come to Comicbook.com. You can go anywhere else you get podcasts. Type in A Wild Podcast Has Appeared, and you will find us there. Next week is going to be real interesting. We're going to have to figure out how we're going to do that one because Megan and I are going to Comic-Con. So
it's an all-Christian episode.
So we'll see what we're going to do there.
Christian can host it with his 2 Bulbasaur co-hosts.
I'm sure we'll figure something out. But anyway, thanks again, guys, for listening, and we will catch you at the same time, same place next week.